Radyo Katipunan, 87.9 FM.
Radyo, 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 Katipunan, radyo, Katipunan, radyo, Katipunan, radyo, 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 Katipunan, radyo, Katipunan. Voice of the Blue Eagle kami, di mapipigil sa pagbabalitang tumpak at tama. Buhay atin sa labas ng eskwela, ating ibibida lahat ng pera. Radyo, 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 Katipunan, radyo, 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 Katipunan, radyo, Katipunan, radyo, Katipunan. Kawal ni Ignacio, Katipunero sugo, todo sa kayod, tunong at tulong. Lipad na Blue Eagle, galing hiding at tigil.
Welcome to The Rundown, where we take you right into the action with the latest sports news, updates, game previews, breakdown, and analysis in, around, across, and beyond the Ateneo. And now, let's get ready to run down!
Over here at the Radyo Katipunan 87.9. Once again, it is an all Katipunan Hooptalk over here, NBA Playoffs edition with my man from the Maroon side of things of Katipunan, Javi Palaña. Javi, in just 1 month lang na from the last time we've talked, we are down to the final four of the NBA Playoffs. Again, no shortage of interesting plots and storylines. Ang daming lumalabas na kwento ngayon. Pero Javi, how has your viewing experience been sa League Pass mo?
Good afternoon, Anthony, and I'm really excited again to be back here on the Rundown. It's really been a treat for everyone, for all the NBA fans who've been watching the games from the bubble. There has, as you said, there has been no shortage of interest, plot twists, and things that are being interested about in this NBA bubble, because we have games every other day, and there are things that are happening within the bubble that are of interest to everybody. Yep. And that's why we were very glued to what's happening in the bubble right now.
Definitely have, and I think I'd want to start kasi lagi tayo nandun sa mga superstars, but I want to start in a over the east side of things. So Eastern Conference Finals muna tayo. We got the number 5 Miami Heat against the number 3 Boston Celtics. Miami currently holding a 2-1 series lead over the Celts. Pero let's, before bago nating himayin tong series na tabi, I want to go back to nung wala pang pandemic, start pa lang ng 2020 season. I mean, did you ever see Miami? Because I saw them as a middle of the pack playoff team. Papasok yan sa playoffs, right?
Yeah.
But I didn't see them 2 wins away from returning to the finals.
It's crazy. Yeah, as you said, nobody expected them to make this deep into the playoffs, no. But like what I said in one of our previous talks here on the Rundown, it's not really much of a surprise on my end, because the Miami Heat as an organization has that championship pedigree, has that reputation of winning, really. And with Jimmy Butler leading them, they've been transformed this young roster into a very ragtag team that's been able to compete and possibly make the championship against possibly the Denver Nuggets or the LA Lakers.
True. And I'm kinda interested to see this, no? Kasi back in 2014, this was the height of, diba, Heatles pa rin yun, LeBron, D-Wade, and Chris Bosh. Pero now, pag titingnan mo yung Miami Heat, parang they've embraced the underdog narrative, diba? Parang how do you see that transition na Miami has gone through?
Yeah, it's funny because yun nga, from the time of the big three, no, malamang, syempre, sila yung favorites. So, and they said they would win not one, not two, but 7 championships. Yeah. And then now, yun nga, they're really embracing that underdog mentality. And I think a big part of this is because of Coach Eric Spoelstra. He's really embedded into the minds of these players that nothing is going to be given to us on a silver platter. We're not the favorites. Let's surprise everybody. And I think a lot of these players being players who haven't really proven anything yet, especially on the playoff level, are really excited to do that right now. And they have that great opportunity against Boston right now, making the Eastern Conference Finals. With Jimmy Butler at the helm, a lot of possibilities for the Heat in this playoffs.
And good point then, Javi, because I'm looking at this Miami Heat roster. Okay, Jimmy Butler is the vet, so is Goran Dragic. But when you look at guys like Tyler Hero, Kendrick Nunn, Duncan Robinson, these are what, first year, second year players. Pero does it factor in kasi walang home and away series to eh. Walang, home and road game. So parang if you're playing just inside the bubble, parang advantage yata to younger players kasi it's kind of less pressure off their shoulders, diba?
Yeah, I think we pointed out that in this one in one of our previous conversations na the factor of playing in the bubble and the negation of the home and away system. No, I think it's been helping those younger players achieve higher play in their games compared to the vets who are used to the home and away and the packed stadiums. I think it's even taking a toll on the veterans na they don't have the usual crowds that they're dealing with in a very high pressure type of situation. And for these young players to be this deep in the playoffs with no pressure from big crowds or big stadiums, I think it's been helping them a lot, and it's been encouraging them more to ilabas mismo yung kung ano talagang laro nila.
True. And of course, Javi, no surprise na Miami swept Indiana. They were too injured back in round 1. But I think the talk of people taking the Heat a lot more seriously was when they ousted the number 1 seed Milwaukee Bucks, whom everyone thought would be the lock from the East to go to the finals, no? Pero, what did you see about this Miami team na they were able to stifle Giannis Antetokounmpo from rim attacks and all those yung Euro step dunks? Parang Giannis was neutralized to a point that he was ineffective.
Yeah, yun nga. I think you could factor in that the negation of the home and away system, no? Yung wala ka talagang home crowd. And the Milwaukee Bucks are a really good home team. I think they're one of the, I think not the first home team. They could have really used their home crowd in a playoff series against the Miami Heat. But the Heat, they have nothing to prove, and they just went all out. They just embraced what type of game plan that Coach Po told them to do, and yung motivation lang na ipabagsak yung number 1 seed, being the younger team and being the unheralded team, was something that they embraced, and that's what they use as motivation to beat the Bucks.
Right, sure. Javi, segue tayo. Mag-post-mortem analysis tayo ng Milwaukee ngayon. No? Okay, Giannis Antetokounmpo. He unfollowed his teammates already on Instagram. Pero he posted on Twitter, "Let's run it back, Milwaukee. I'm gonna be back next year." Teka lang, we've seen this before. I know NBA players say, "I'm staying. No, this is my team." But the next season, guess what? They're in another jersey. Parang Giannis, I mean, do you see him out of Wisconsin already?
Well, yun nga, you can't really tell from what you see on social media. You've seen countless players do this before. You had Kevin Durant, you had LeBron James, and all of them ended up leaving their home teams. And with Giannis, he has a lot of opportunities outside of Milwaukee to really have a real shot at winning the championship in the NBA. But we'll see if Milwaukee will be able to surround him with better talent, with better players who can perform in the playoffs. Then maybe Giannis will stay. But I'm really counting on him transferring to the Miami Heat if the Heat, especially if the Heat don't make the NBA Finals. No, it'll really be a good tandem to Jimmy Butler, and the phalanx of outside shooters that the Miami Heat has really complements the game of Giannis, because Giannis really that's the knack in his game. And when you're this deep into the playoffs and when you're the go-to guy of the team, you really have to have that outside shot, or someone who's gonna be a killer from the perimeter. Because if you're just someone who's like Giannis na dominates inside, pag tinanggal mo na yung inside game, then you're out.
Yeah, exactly, and that's what happened against Miami, diba?
Yes.
Pero here, Javi, I know all the talk is about Giannis. Oh, he might leave, he might stay, but if you're Milwaukee, is it also time kaya for a coaching change? Because I know Coach Budenholzer, under his watch, Giannis developed into an MVP. Twice na nga, di ba? Pero is Coach Bud the right answer for them? Kasi like 2 playoff trips already, they haven't gotten over the hump, so to speak, di ba?
Yeah, we know that Coach Bud developed under Coach Greg Popovich in San Antonio, and he's slightly having a different philosophy towards the Milwaukee Bucks right now, no? But I think it's not more of the coaching change that needs to happen. It's really surrounding Giannis with better pieces that fit. They tried to put a lot of outside shooters around him, but there wasn't really that that killer, that kind of Kobe guy. They said that Giannis was like Shaq looking for his Kobe, which is better than the comparison that he's a Pippen looking for his Jordan. Because in the end game, he needs someone like a Kobe who can just demand the ball and make plays for himself and for his teammates. And Chris Middleton is really not that guy.
Yeah. Parang I know he's a good player, but he's not a great number 2 for Giannis, no?
Yes, definitely.
And eto naman, let's swing again to the Miami Heat. Speaking of superstars, how about this? This is a story that I wanted really to talk with you about, no? The re-emergence of Jimmy Butler. I mean, this guy, parang over the past couple of years, he's been a forgotten star. If you flash back to, let's say, late 2018, he was still with the Minnesota. Diba? He was, he figured in that infamous practice where he says, you bleeping need me, and then cussing out Andrew Wiggins, cussing out Karl Anthony Towns, and then, okay, you didn't want him over there. He goes to Philadelphia. And then in Philadelphia, Jimmy Butler, they go to the playoffs, pero parang he's kind of questioning the coaching of Brett Brown, which was, of course, he had all the reason why. Tapos, he also didn't mesh well with Ben Simmons. And then the perception, diba, at that point of Jimmy Butler, coach killer, jerk, total a-hole, total, diba, head case, terrible teammate. Pero, if he goes, diba, you put that type of player with that type of attitude in you said it, the culture of Miami Heat. Look at the result, diba? You get a championship caliber team and player.
Yeah, and it's like really a marriage of a perfect marriage, if you will. Kasi in the past, he hasn't been able to mesh well with his previous teams and his previous teammates. And right now that he joined the Miami Heat, who really espouses what he believes in, was really perfect for him. Kasi yung template ng career niya, all his career, he's been doubted. He's been he has been unheralded. He has had to prove himself time and time again, and he has. And now that he's with the Miami Heat, who really surrounds him with talent that he needs, surrounds him with the attitude that he really reaches, then it's really a perfect marriage for him. And then moving forward in his career, this is the perfect place for Jimmy Butler to be in.
Definitely, Javi. And if you look at Miami, no, parang I've also read about how Jimmy Butler is a grinder. His whole career, he's been grinding ever since Chicago. But in Miami is a team that's a stickler for discipline. I mean, even though sa practice, the coaches should wear the same colored shirt and everything like that. So parang it just fits Jimmy Butler's mentality, just fits his personality, diba?
Yeah, and in Miami, it doesn't mean that you're talented at papasa ka na. You've had Dion Waiters, I think you have James Johnson, who's been pinagsabihan ng maraming beses nila Pat Riley, and that's why they're out of the team right now. And Jimmy Butler is just really what Pat Riley preaches to his Miami Heat team. This is the kind of guy you want to model your franchise after.
True. And I think, no, Javi, I'm not saying that Jimmy Butler is of the same level as MJ and Kobe, but the attitude of I am going to seriously, diba, demand high standards of my teammates. I don't care if I'm being a total jerk to you, pero if that brings us closer to winning, then diba? Then okay, tough love it is, no?
Yeah, and sometimes it shouldn't be just because someone's like acting like that. It doesn't mean that he won't bring wins for you. I mean, if you're a nice guy and you don't really reach what the team needs, and then what's the use, right? So if Jimmy Butler, you're right. Jimmy Butler really mirrors what kind of attitude that MJ had, what Kobe had. This is the type of attitude that you need to get over the hump, especially for a young team like the Miami Heat.
Yes.
This is what they need. And now that they're in the Eastern Conference Finals, they have a perfect leader in Jimmy Butler to hopefully beat the Boston Celtics and make it to the NBA Finals.
Right. And Javi also, speaking of leadership, I think that's one of the reasons why Bam Adebayo has been looking like the best center in the East right now. Not Joel Embiid. It's Bam Adebayo who I think is the best center in the East right now. Javi, game 1, remember this? The block turned around the world. Grabe. The wrist flexibility, yung shoulder, parang bibigay yun eh. Diba? If Jason
the
Tatum,
amount of force that Jason Tatum exerted on that dunk, and for Bam Adebayo to block that with his fingers, that was crazy, man.
Insane strength. And that's why, parang I'm looking at, shot blocking, medyo undersized na center. Kind of Bam Adebayo on defense, he sort of reminds me of a Ben Wallace on defense.
Yeah,
Diba?
I think that's a very good comparison. Bam Adebayo not that tall. Ben Wallace wasn't that tall also. He was just like 6'9", 6'8". But his tenacity and intensity on the defensive end is really something that Bam Adebayo mirrors. And I think it's also something that Jimmy Butler was able to rub off on Bam and his other teammates.
Yeah.
Because defense does win championships.
Yes.
So you have to play championship level defense if you're gonna go to the NBA Finals and win that Larry O'Brien trophy.
Definitely. Pero Javi, I think one of the main differences between Ben Wallace and Bam Adebayo is Bam, I've seen coaching videos on this. He has excellent passing ability for a big. I mean, and that's being utilized by Eric Spoelstra to create looks for guys like Duncan Robinson, Hero, Jay Crowder even, no? Pero my question is, parang has Brad Stevens adjusted enough to this? I mean, diba, they won game 3, pero I mean, why have the Celtics been dropping yung double-digit leads nila to Miami?
Well, I think after game 3, they were able to adjust to it, especially with Gordon Hayward back into the fray. Their small ball lineup with Gordon Hayward at the 5, Jaylen Brown, Marcus Smart, Jason Tatum, and Kemba Walker. That small ball lineup was a plus 13 in around 6 minutes of combined play. Sila yung laging tumatapos ng quarters ng game 3, and it really bore a lot of fruit for the Boston Celtics in that game 3. And I think that's a kind of adjustment that Brad Stevens did to combat what Miami was bringing to them, because yun nga, nahihirapan sila to defend those plays where Bam Adebayo was getting the ball in the mid post, and those dribble handoffs, yung mga X-action ng mga handoffs to the guards, were something that Boston had trouble with in the first two games. But with a small ball lineup with Gordon Hayward at the 5, a quicker a lineup that could scramble and switch all defensive stops, is better for Brad Stevens.
But is Gordon Hayward talaga parang their answer right now? Parang can they really expect Gordon Hayward to be the difference maker in the middle of the series? Like how do you see that?
It's I think it's something that Brad Stevens just decided on the fly, kasi Theis and Escanter weren't able to really contain Bam Adebayo and his passing ability. I think Gordon Hayward's really the perfect fit. He's more mobile. He's not that short. He's already 6'8" or 6'9", and Bam's not above 6'10", I guess. So it's really a good adjustment going against the Miami Heat if they want to stay in the series. Even if Gordon Hayward just came back from injury, it's something that Brad Stevens needs to do now if he wants to make a series out of this Eastern Conference Finals.
Yeah, and I'm thinking, are we giving Boston enough credit? Because I know all the talk has been about Miami right now, pero are we giving Celtics enough credit for, okay, they edged Toronto in 7 games. It's a very tough Raptors team, diba? Or is this parang 7 games yun eh? Fatigue has to be a factor over here right now.
Yeah, and definitely. And I think that's why also pinasok nila si Gordon Hayward dun sa small ball lineup, because I know his bigs are tired, Theis and Escanter are tired, going up against a very tall Toronto front line and Serge Ibaka and others. So Gordon Hayward's a fresh legs for them going into this series. Being able to defend against Bam is a big thing for them. It's really going to help them moving forward if they want to even the series tomorrow.
Right. And Javi, to key in on what you said, I think Jimmy Butler mentioned this in one of his interviews. Sabi niya, okay, the Celtics have more talent man for man, but that is lang, if, okay, the Celtics do have more talent, well, that's how Jimmy Butler sees it, but it's how you make this talent works, kasi you have to make the talent matter at the right time, diba?
Yeah, that's right. It's not because that you have talent, automatically it will translate into victories already. You've seen that with Milwaukee, you've seen that with Toronto, and here you are. We have the number 3 and the number 5 seed in the Eastern Conference Finals. So it's really more of adjustments in small sample sizes throughout these playoffs. It's the team that makes the right adjustment at the right time during the right duration will be the one who will go out on top. It's not really about the roster. It's not about which talent that you have. It's really about adjustment. It's a series, so it's a chess game.
Exactly. And Javi, there's still gonna be games left to play, but okay, who do you ultimately see going to the finals coming out of the East?
That's really tough. I'd really have to go with Miami on this one. I'm leaning a bit towards Boston so that Miami would be able to grab Giannis in the offseason.
Oh, okay.
But with the way things are going right now, I'm gonna have to go with Miami.
Switch over to the West, where the number 1 seeded Los Angeles Lakers currently facing off against the number 3 Denver Nuggets. And earlier today, Denver, my goodness me, cutting down the series lead 2-1. Javi, okay, we admit we were so wrong about Denver. We were so wrong. We were mistaken. Akala natin they didn't have that killer instinct. Down to 3-1 to Utah and Spider Mitchell. But Javi, coming back down 3-1 in 2 successive series. I mean, why? How, Javi? How?
It's crazy, Anthony. Yun nga, we've been talking about this is a good Denver team. This is a great Denver team. This is going to be a great Denver team. That's what we were saying at the when we were talking about the playoffs before it started, and then they just really grew right before our eyes. Whatever things that they lacked, they developed throughout the playoffs. Imagine being the only team combating a 3-1 series deficit twice. And for us to say that they didn't have any killer instinct at the start, it was just really crazy. They just blew our minds away. Jamal Murray, Nikola Jokic, they were stars that really blossomed right before our eyes. And with credit to the coaching staff, to Mike Malone, he really was an integral part in the development of his two stars who led them to the Western Conference Finals. If they lose this series against the Lakers, they have nothing to be ashamed of. They're gonna leave Orlando with their head held up high, no matter the result.
Yeah, definitely have, and just looking at the win by Denver earlier today. Okay, they go up by 20. They blow the lead. It goes down to 3 points? But they hang on to win by 8. And I mean, this Denver team, no, if I could describe them in one word, it's resilient. Super resilient. I mean, it rubs off not only from Jokic and Jamal Murray, but guys like who? Jeremy Grant, Monte Morris, even Michael Porter Jr. to some extent. Even the role players, they just hang tough always. They hang tough.
And that's the definition of a very good team. It's not just about your star players. It's not just about Jamal Murray and Nikola Jokic. The mark of a good team is when even your role players are playing their roles to the hilt and more. You have Jeremy Grant who scored a playoff career high, 26 points. You have Monte Morris hitting 5 of 7 shots for 14 points. Michael Porter Jr. producing his usual output. It was just really a joy to watch them, move the rock compared to the very lethargic and very parang sobrang walang ganang LA Lakers. Okay, you had Anthony Davis putting up 27 points, but only 2 rebounds. For a guy like Anthony Davis only having 2 rebounds, that's preposterous. LeBron James nearly had a triple-double, but as Charles Barkley said, it looked good on the stat sheet, but did he play well? No, he didn't.
Mm-hmm. And here's the puzzling thing about Anthony Davis, okay? Parang, I know last game, he called Kobe. He was Mamba clutch in game 2, which was, of course, he did it, diba? He won the game. But the thing that's so strange about Anthony Davis is, okay, 6'10", 6'11". I don't see him post up, Javi. I don't. It's always diba, when he's forced to a tough corner, he'll put up parang a weak looking fadeaway. Tapos his base, parang I don't know what's wrong with his lower body, but his base, parang it's kind of adverse to contact. Matamaan mo lang ng konti, babagsak na. So he doesn't post up. Like, do you see it also?
Yeah, and that's the reason why Shaq, Charles Barkley, they've called out Anthony Davis and said, dude, you're 7 foot and you don't impose your will inside. Imagine having only 2 rebounds in a crucial playoff game. What if that was a game 7?
Yeah.
I mean, come on. If you're Anthony Davis, you have to be better than this. You have the physical gifts, you have the physical talents to be able to dominate the game inside, not just from the perimeter, but use your gifts and talents. That's why you're there. That's why the Lakers got you. And LeBron has to do better. LeBron has to be more active. It's not enough to fill the stat sheets. He has to affect the game in such a way that all his teammates will be able to play the game the way that Frank Vogel wants them to play. Laker basketball, defense that turns into offense. They force turnovers and run into transitions. That's where the Lakers are at their best.
Right. And is this, for you, do you see LA just being kind of too overconfident right now? Because, hey, we're the more talented team. LeBron, AD, Kyle Kuzma, Rondo, they're stacked. So parang, in a way, they're kind of taking Denver lightly. Do you think?
Well, definitely, Anthony. If you guys watched the game earlier today, it was just really a sight for sore eyes because there was just no movement on the offensive end for the Lakers. Okay, you had LeBron bring up the ball and then pass to Rondo, who's going to set up the play, and then LeBron's going to get it back on mid post. There's just going to be minimal movement, and then after that, the shot clock's going to wind down to 4 seconds, and nothing's going to happen. You know, they're really decimating themselves with the amount of talent that they have by the lack of movement that they have. You know, they have to move the rock better if they're able to, if they're going to be able to maximize what talent they have, because clearly they're not the better team in the game earlier.
Yeah. And they have to, be wary also of Denver because they can come back from large deficits. Denver has showed it like so many times already in the playoffs. Pero parang LA has to be very cautious of that. But I wanna go back to the previous game now. Do you think like Denver could have easily gone up 2-1 if not for the point forward Mason Plumlee, Javi, what the heck was going on there? Parang, can you explain who in the world would point to his defender in a game-winning situation? Javi, I don't...
That was definitely a mortal sin on Mason Plumlee's end, no? You shouldn't do that. That was a game-deciding play. You had to fight off the screen. And it's not like you were really... pinned down so hard, no? You could have extended your body a bit more to contest that shot, no? And it wasn't enough to get a hand up on that shot because Anthony Davis has a really high release point. Nikola Jokic was able to challenge that, but apparently it wasn't enough because he's such a long player and he has such a high release point. Mason Plumlee could have easily fought off the screen, body bumped him, and affected that pass.
Like Denver could have been up easily 2-1 by now. It could have been a totally different series that we're watching right now.
Yes, definitely. And I think for me it would have been better for the Lakers if they lost that game because they would have come out this game with more sense of urgency compared to that lethargic effort that they displayed earlier today. It's really not championship basketball that they're playing. No? If Denver continues to play like this against a really lazy Lakers team who's willing to flip the switch when it matters, then I think Denver might have a chance to pull the rug underneath this LA team.
And you're not talking crazy by saying that because Denver has the capability of doing so. But
we're not discounting the fact that Denver is capable of things anymore. It's not like we're pre-playoff or first round talk about the Denver team. We already know for a fact that they can perform at times even when push comes to shove.
Yeah, definitely. And key. Let's go in a bit on LA's lack of effort. I think this was sort of. This is sort of following the pattern of their inner city rival, the LA Clippers, because the Clippers themselves, diba, again, we'll do a post-mortem analysis of the Clippers over here. Like the Clippers themselves, they have themselves to blame for what a choke job they did in that Game 7 against LA. Like, even, not only Paul George, but Kawhi. Like, Kawhi also has to be held accountable for, putting up 6 for 22? Diba?
Oh, yeah, definitely. They're not a rookie-laden team. They're full of vets. You have Kawhi, you have Paul George, you have Lou Williams. These guys have been in the league for so long, and these guys have experience deep in the playoffs. For them to put up a job like that, for them to put up a performance like that is really, really, really unacceptable on the part of the Clippers.
Yeah. And do you think, like I know the Clippers, they were assembled to be a super team essentially, diba, with Kawhi and Paul George, but they just, diba, we talked about this before. They like gelling at the right time inside the bubble will be super, super important. But what did you see in the Clippers? Lou Williams going to the gentleman's club, Pat Beverly and Marcus Morris talking, and then being shut up by who? Dame Lillard. So they were going in all sorts of directions.
Yeah, they weren't, they weren't able to swallow their pride and just, do it for the sake of the team. No, you can't have all these petty stuff happening around when it's playoff time. You have to be all on the same page. And if you're gonna do stuff like this, it's not gonna contribute to your team's success, especially if you're a team that wasn't able to gel well during the regular season and not able to develop that kind of chemistry that was needed to go deep into the playoffs.
Right. And I think having that lack of focus was what did them in. That's why they lost their 3-1 lead, diba?
Oh yeah, definitely. They got caught off their feet by a Denver team that was ready for them, that was ready to prove something. Denver, nobody counted on them to win the series, but hey, they did it, and they did it against a very unfocused LA Clippers team, and that was what made them beat the Clippers.
True. And so we can safely say that the Clippers, contrary to popular belief, they are not cursed. The Clippers are not cursed by anything. They just didn't show up, diba? Yun lang.
Definitely, it's not cursed or anything. It's not nothing of a magical context or whatever.
Yeah.
It's just really a matter of accountability, a lack of focus. It's all on them to blame. They're all to blame for that.
Right. And I was reading kanina, no, Javi, some recent reports. Okay, that the Clippers are thinking about, trades in the off season, except for Kawhi. So Kawhi is the only, diba, the only what's this, immovable piece. Pero here comes Paul George again, so I don't know where he's headed. But if the Clippers are gonna make moves, what do you think about starting from the top? And I mean Doc Rivers, who has blown 3-1 series leads. Parang Javi, that doesn't qualify you really as a good coach, does it?
Yeah, and I've been also reading some articles the past few days. Doc Rivers is a very overrated coach, as a lot of people would say. His championship with Boston in 2008 was something that he wasn't able to follow up anymore. He still had that talented roster after a few years in Boston, but he was never able to follow it up going against a very loaded Miami team. And now that he had that talented Clipper roster, he lost 2-3. He lost a 3-1. No, it's not really acceptable. And he's been on the Clipper team coaching for a number of years already, and I think yes, if you're gonna change the structure of this team, it's gonna have to start from the head coaching position. Doc Rivers has to go a change of perspective, a change of mindset, a fresh new perspective is needed for this Clippers team, and I think that's what also Paul George needs if he's gonna stay with the Clippers.
Yeah. Pero yun lang, no? Parang the reason why Kawhi and Paul George wanted to play for the Clippers was because, diba, Doc Rivers is a player's coach. He works well with these types of superstars. But I don't think he's the right guy, diba, to get them over the hump, so to speak. Again, because even back in the CP3, Blake Griffin, DeAndre Jordan days, they couldn't get past the second round with Doc Rivers. So,
yeah, I think this is the last straw in a long coaching career in LAC that Doc Rivers has had. He's had multiple chances to prove himself, but time and time again, he hasn't been able to get them over the hump, and I think it's time for him to go.
Yeah. And I think that can also be said for another team who will do a post-mortem talk about, the Houston Rockets. Javi, is it time now to just blow up this the way they're constructed? Even Kobe said it before. Parang the way Houston is constructed with James Harden, doing 180 dribbles per possession. I mean, that's not championship winning formula basketball, right? And maybe it's time to, blow up the Rockets, right?
It's really, for me, Anthony, it's not sustainable type of basketball. No, you've seen it multiple times in the playoffs. This bubble that James Harden during the end game would appear fatigued and tired and not able to perform when needed by his team. So come on, you have to look at it from the top, and maybe that partnership with Russell Westbrook and James Harden was just not really something that can pan out. especially the unpredictability and how mercurial Russell Westbrook's attitude is. It just really didn't work out for them, and having no legitimate rim protector in their lineup, even if they had Tyson Chandler on the bench, for sure they wouldn't be able to use him. PJ Tucker just wasn't able to do the job and sustain against the taller opponents on the other end.
And I think, we can say that Daryl Morey made a huge mistake by letting go of Chris Paul and signing Russell Westbrook. Kasi diba, when it comes to the playoffs, when the game slows down, that's where you need a high IQ playmaker rather than a guy who just goes baseline to baseline with parang walang preno just keeps on going. But again, he bricks the most important shots in the game. So, diba, maybe they could have gotten better had they retained CP3.
I think CP3 was a better fit or pair to James Harden, because CP3 really had that leadership factor that Russell Westbrook didn't really have. I mean, okay, Russell Westbrook, former MVP, perennial All-Star, but he's just not that type of guy, I feel, who's gonna lead a team to deep playoff heights. No, it's not him. It's not in his resume to do so. And CP3 has proven so with OKC, going unexpectedly deep into the playoffs. They had a chance percent of making the playoffs, and OKC was able to barge into the playoffs because of Chris Paul.
Right. So again, Houston, maybe something's definitely wrong with the way the Rockets are constructed. But going back to that Houston series, I know the Lakers, they didn't get to play Dwight Howard or JaVale McGee much kasi nga Houston was playing micro ball. Pero right now, if you switch back to the Denver series, they're getting all the playing time kasi now they have to match up with Nikola Jokic and maybe even Michael Porter Jr., right?
Yeah, but they haven't been doing much of a good job against Nikola Jokic. Jokic has been facilitating the Denver offense magically, and they were just lucky in game 2 that Anthony Davis was able to sink that shot. But Jokic did a hell of a game in that game.
Right. So with that being said, again, it falls on the shoulders of a 35-year-old LeBron James to once again carry the LA Lakers, because I know this Lakers team is one of the most stacked teams that he's ever been on. Pero parang, pahirapan pa for LeBron to get his 4th ring. Siya pa rin dapat yung magbuhat all the time, right?
Yeah, it's no question that LeBron has to be the one to carry the load for this. Stephen A. Smith went on record and said that if the Lakers win the championship, Anthony Davis would win the Finals MVP. Okay, maybe to a certain extent that may be true, because Anthony Davis does get a lot more touches than LeBron James on the offensive end. But for the Lakers to win that Larry O'Brien trophy, LeBron has to influence their play more than the stat sheet. No, his leadership, his value on the offensive and defensive end has to be felt by this Laker team if they're going to win that championship. It's not just going to be shown on the stat sheet. He has to do the intangibles.
Yeah.
He's 35 years old, but if he wants to win this championship, it's not going to be given to him on a silver platter.
Definitely. And can we say that this bubble playoffs, it's make or break time for LeBron James's legacy, diba? Kasi if he goes on to win, fine, he can be the first player to lead 3 different teams to 3 titles. Pero if not, then what happens to his overall legacy?
Oh, definitely. He's not gonna hear the end of it if he loses this championship. This is, I think, his best shot in winning another title in the next few years before his retirement. No, who knows what's gonna happen next season? Whatever happens in this playoffs, who knows what happens. So this is the best shot LeBron has. The Clippers are out of the way. He has a young Denver team in front of him. He just has to play the type of game that's expected of him and his team to overcome this Denver Nuggets team and to make that NBA Finals I believe that whoever's gonna come out of the East, they're gonna beat easily if they trample the Denver Nuggets.
All right, so Javi again, 2-1 series lead, LA Lakers, but Denver right back at them. So, LA or Denver? Who do you got?
LA, bro, definitely.
Okay. But I do think that Denver can take it to at least a game 6. At least a game 6.
I firmly believe so too. No, the fight in the Denver Nuggets team is just really, really great. No? Mike Malone and Jamal Murray, Nikola Jokic. I'm sure they're not gonna back down from this LA Laker team, no matter how mighty or how good they might seem to be. This Denver team has no quit in them, definitely.
Yeah. So, Javi, let's just greet some virtual guests over here tuning into us. Oh, si Madam Claudia pala. Madam Claudia Perez says, go Javi and Anthony. So thank you, Claudia, for joining us on our Hoop Talk this afternoon.
Hi, Claudia.
All right. So at least Javi, we were able to greet some viewers naman while doing our show. So Javi, before we wrap things up, any shout outs and greetings that you want to give out?
I just want to say hello to my family. I think they're watching right now. My mom, my siblings, Wacky, Patricia, Marga, and Tito Steven. Hello. I think they're watching at home. And I don't know. I have too many friends to greet. So all my friends. Thank you guys for watching. And I just guys want to plug. We have episode 7 of Standing Room Only PH happening on Sunday. That's still a tentative date, but the episode is entitled Queen. It's there to highlight women's sports. So for our guests, we have Agatha Wong and still to be confirmed guest. No, abangan nyo na lang.
Okay, I did talk to Agatha once over here at Radyo Katipunan as well. Pero that was nung I think post-SEA Games or post-Asian Games, something like that. But Avi, I wish you all the best for in your upcoming episode. Where can they reach you guys pala? Through Facebook or any other social media platform?
They can like our page, www.facebook.com/SROPH, and we're also on Instagram at capital SRO.PH, and our YouTube channel is currently in the works, so watch out for that, guys. And that's it. I hope you see you guys soon.
And Javi, soon we will be doing a finals preview over here at Radyo Katipunan. So let's stay tuned with the games, keep watching some hopes, and let's see if our predictions come true. All right, Javi, take care. Peace. Thank you, everyone. See you guys again.
Welcome to the Rundown, where we take you right into the action with the latest sports news, updates, game previews, breakdown, and analysis in, around, across, and beyond the Ateneo. And now, let's get ready to run down!